Hello, and welcome to the Learning Hub's video on how to read and respond to prompts in your college classes. My name is Sarah Collins. I'm the writing coordinator in the Learning Hub, and in this video I will be briefly discussing what a prompt is, how to read it to understand what writing tasks you'll need to accomplish, and how to get started with writing. I hope that after watching this video you'll be more confident with getting started on writing projects in your classes. First, we need to make sure we're on the same page regarding what a prompt even is. When we say prompt, we mean the assignment sheet or the instructions that your professor provides for you to know how to complete a project for their class. These instructions usually include two types of information, the big picture purpose stuff and the smaller requirements. The important thing to remember about a document we call a prompt is that it is literally prompting you to do something. So it's a prompt. We like to think of a prompt as your compass or map or whatever wayfinding gear you use to help you hike or rock climb. The end goal of writing a paper can sometimes feel as far away as a mountaintop, but having something that can help guide you will make the trek that much easier. Now that we have a shared understanding of what a prompt is, we can talk briefly about why they exist. What is the purpose of a prompt? Well, prompts have multiple purposes and all aim to help you do good writing work. For starters, prompts ensure you complete a task that meet your instructor's expectations. For another, prompts map out how this project will align to the course's outcomes and learning objectives. Lastly, prompts make your job so much easier if you continue to rely on them throughout your writing process, not just right at the beginning of your thinking work. Our first major area of discussion in this video is untangling the purpose and expectations of prompts. Why are they the compass or map that can help you make the journey to the peak, or the final draft of your project? We'll go over some major tips that will help you figure out what your professor is asking you to do so that you can then begin to think about the steps you'll need to take to do it. It's important to note at this point that no two prompts are going to be the same, and while usually professors will format all of their prompts for all of their classes in similar ways, no two professors are going to be the same. You will need to be able to recognize the shared patterns typical to all prompts and adapt to the different ways professors outline their expectations. Hopefully our video helps you figure all of that out. The language of a prompt inherently dictates what a professor deems important for a successful project. And as said earlier, prompts cover two important areas, the big picture purpose stuff and the smaller requirements. Here we've broken those down with the label content, where you can find instructions for writing to the rhetorical situation, as well as details for how the project connects to the course, and the label format, where you can find instructions for things like the page length or word count, font size and spacing, research expectations, including the number of sources and the citation style your professor prefers, and other document formatting like margins or file names. Especially you can learn the due date, which is pretty important. In other words, to summarize these two categories of information, the instructions on the content explain what you're supposed to do, while the instructions on the format explain what it's supposed to look like. Here I have provided an example of a project I have my students complete in my Introduction to Film class. That's English 234 for anyone curious. I write my prompts with specific formatting that I hope makes it clear to my students what they need to do and how the final document should look. For example, I always try to use headings as labels for the different sections that describe what each part of the prompt talks about. I also always try to group like information together so that you aren't having to scan the entire document for all of the details for formatting, for example. It's all in the same place or a couple of places to make it easy to find and understand. Again, not all professors write prompts to the same level of specificity or structure, so you need to make sure you can recognize some of the typical clues in the language and format of your prompts so that you can effectively meet the project's expectations. With a basic understanding of what prompts typically include in their instructions, we can now tackle the second major area of discussion in this video, how to begin the hike, or in other words, how to start writing. These tips and tricks are meant to help you learn strategies for annotating your prompts to make them more usable for you during your writing process, as well as offer up some ideas to begin that writing process once you're ready. We want to make sure you know how to take what your compass or map says and translate that into actually taking steps toward that end goal, the mountaintop. Before anything else, you should annotate your prompt. Annotation is an important way to ensure strong reading comprehension in any aspect of your college experience, not just reading textbooks and articles for your classes. It also pertains to unpacking your prompts to really make sure you know what you're supposed to be doing. Highlight the important details of the prompt, noting things like the length, due date, formatting, and research requirements, and be sure to color code so that at a glance you can tell what's a format detail and what's actually telling you what to do in the project. Take notes on the side with arrows pointing to details you need to clarify, questions you can pose to start brainstorming, or information you can append from however your professor explained the project in class that helped things make a bit more sense. Finally, create a checklist for yourself to make sure you do all of the things the instructions prompt you to do. This can become a vital part of your final proofreading of the project before you submit it to verify you didn't forget anything. Here's my same prompt from my Intro to Film class, now with annotations to help clarify what to do and how to get started. Note that the student created a quick legend for themselves at the top of the page that will be helpful context for when they check back later and need to remind themselves of these details. Note also that all of the clarifying questions the student actually wrote on the prompt to figure out what they need to learn before they can confidently start working on this paper. These are just some of the ways that you can interact with your prompts to make sure you start off on the right foot and continue to understand how to complete your writing work. One important note that we wanted to isolate and talk about for a moment. Make sure you always keep your prompts on hand while you're writing. Don't set them aside and assume you know what to do. Would you toss away the map or the compass when hiking through a dense forest? Writing a good paper will depend on following the assignment guidelines closely, and that'll be hard to do that well if you don't keep the prompt right there by your side as you write. So what's next? Well, armed with a thorough sense of the assignment, you should start pre-writing. In the Hub, we talk about the various pre-writing strategies that students can employ to make the most of their brainstorming and to make the actual writing of their projects easier. There are 4 that we specifically provide resources on through our website and in our workshop series. Free writing, which is a very messy, very open-ended style meant for idea exploration. Listing, which is a somewhat more structured style meant for idea cultivation. Thought mapping, which is even more structured and is meant for idea organization. And finally, outlining, which is a very structured style meant for idea utilization. All of these act as the different trails you can take to make your way up the mountain. They're all a bit different, but they can all be successful for you depending on what helps you work at your best. If you want more specific information about any of these, please check out our resources on our website or contact the Hub directly. For now, we'll move on to conclude this video on prompts. Thanks for taking the time to check out our resources on reading and responding to prompts. If you want to learn even more, look at our website to find dozens of handouts on writing-related topics, and you can also always make an appointment to chat with a member of our writing staff one-on-one. We hope you have a great day, and thank you so much for watching.